Welcome to Long Live Baseball. Today on the program, we talk about the NL Central and just how exciting the action is these days. What can the Cubs win the NL Central? Why not us? Can the Cardinals win the Central? Why not us? Everybody stinks in the NL Central. Why not, baby?
Why
The
not
same
us?
thing, the same things are going on. The same things are happening. The Cardinals still need starting pitching, and the Cubs. What about the Cubs, Mike?
Oh my goodness. You know, I, oh my gosh. Well, you know, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about my beloved Cubs. We'll talk about lineups and spending, and we'll talk about a few things. And maybe it'll sound a little bit like the old man saying, "Get off my lawn," because it's kind of, I look at this calendar back here, and what I thought about going through as an object lesson and crossing off the days of this month, and then crossing off all of the days of this month as well, because 2 months of the baseball season are gone. And what are we doing? Okay, there you got my beginning rant. And it feels a lot different than some of the conversations that we've had thus far. But more importantly, Seth, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh my God, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Why would you say that it's not? Sorry about that. Bumped the mic there.
It's all right.
Why would you say I don't think so?
Well, I would. It's not really. I mean, I guess if you had to classify it as something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's meat sandwiched in between bread. So I guess technically, but it's not your typical style of bread. I would say that hot dogs, brats, things of that nature deserve their own classification.
Because they go in a bun, you're saying?
Because they go in a
Because it's a
bun,
bun,
not
not bread. A bread
yes,
is what constitutes a sandwich.
yes.
Interestingly enough, I don't know if you were listening to yourself, but you said it's something to the effect of it's a meat substance sandwiched between two, is what you said.
Mm,
So I found that to be very interesting. What then? Okay, so let's just agree to agree and state that it is not a sandwich. I agree that I do not believe hot dog is a sandwich. I don't think a brat is a sandwich. You never say, "Hey, could you get me a hot dog sandwich?" Now, if you were to slice the hot dog into two parts and put it on bread, then you could say, "Get me a hot dog sandwich," right?
mm-hmm.
Because maybe you're going to put a slice of tomato on there, or maybe you're going to, and so that begs the question, what goes on a hot dog? I mean, what's acceptable? What's not acceptable to put on a hot dog? In the form of the hot dog, not the hot dog sandwich. I mean, if you have a hot dog sandwich, you're going to have some different things you're going to put on there, right? Like I might consider, I mean, I don't know. I might consider putting I'd probably put that on the bun version as well. I'm trying to think of something that I might put on a hot dog sandwich that I might not put on a hot dog, like mayonnaise, for example. I might put mayonnaise on a hot dog sandwich if I were to slice it in half and put it, on there. Don't know where Seth went just now, but maybe internet. So I'm going to have a soliloquy, as they say, about the hot dog. So am I going to put mayonnaise on the hot dog? Am I going to put, on the hot dog sandwich versus the hot dog itself? Now, of course, for me, what I like to do is I like to put on a hot dog one that is, as Seth so eloquently said, sandwiched between two buns. I'm going to drag that baby through the garden because I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. So I'm going to put the peppers and the onions and the relish, which is a different color, which you can't find anywhere else other than in Chicagoland. And then I'm also going to put mustard, but absolutely no ketchup.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of just so you know, having technical difficulties, but I'm gonna try to open up a new browser because I think for whatever reason, and this started yesterday, and I know the listeners are just on the edge of their seats wondering like what's going on behind the scenes. It's because I might cut in and out here because for some reason, and if anybody knows in the chat what's going on, Google Chrome has been sporadic for me. I can open up any other web browser, but for some reason in Google Chrome, and it's probably going to do it right in the middle of my point, will just close all of my tabs, close them all, and then open them back up. And it happens randomly for no reason at all. I've looked at solutions. I've run a virus scan, nothing. I've downloaded. Here it goes again. I've like deleted Google Chrome and installed it again. Nothing. So if anybody has a solution, yeah, updated it. Yes. If anybody has a solution out there in the chat, let me know. But I'm gonna bounce out of here and open up a different browser. So Mike, I'm gonna kick it to you.
Yeah,
to give me a Cubs week in review as I bounce out of here.
I just got done with an excellent soliloquy on the hot dog, and I may continue. I may just pick up where I left off because you came back and I was still talking about the hot dog, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do some around the league, news and notes and things of that nature. But the Cubs. Well, let's talk about the hot dog. I mean, really, what do they say the hot dog is, after all? The hot dog is lips and asses, is from what I understand. I mean, they pick up, or at least they say they pick up what's left on the cutting room floor. Now, even so, we're talking about all sorts of deliciousness there, right? I think that now the hot dog sandwich is an interesting thing to me, though. I wonder, I haven't had a hot dog sandwich. I can remember as a child eating hot dog sandwiches, slicing those hot dogs in half and laying them out, maybe 4 to 6 slices of a hot dog on the bread. I don't know, then I begin to think of the Dagwood sandwich and whether or not I would want to put, lettuce on there, probably some sliced onion, maybe tomato, mayonnaise. I think I would still avoid the ketchup. I don't know. I think I'd still avoid the ketchup. I think no ketchup. But those little peppers, those little hot dog, I can't remember the name of them now, the little peppers that we put on them in Chicagoland, those are good. I don't know, the hot dog. And then that begs the next question. Are hot dogs the same everywhere you go? I mean, some places claim that their hot dog is the best hot dog. Like in Chicagoland, I think they take pride in hot dogs in Chicago. There's a certain amount of community or city pride in the fact that they have the best hot dogs in the land. And so our hot dogs are the same everywhere you go. I don't think they are the same everywhere you go. I think hot dogs kind of are their own thing in Chicago. I mean, if you go elsewhere, I don't know where else you might go for a hot dog, but if you go to another city for a hot dog, I don't think you'll find the same kind of pride that you will. I mean, are hot dogs popular in St. Louis, Seth?
Yeah.
Are they?
I think this might be the best 10 minutes of show that we've ever done. I had to leave the show because I was having technical difficulties. For some reason, my computer has I don't know. I don't want to use a term to describe my computer that, other people use to describe themselves with real problems in the world. But I feel like my computer has Tourette's. It just is.
You just went ahead and did it.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not? I don't know. I don't know what's happening today. But then I fix I go to the different web browser and I pop back into StreamYard here, and Mike Jones is still filibustering about hot dogs. It's amazing. That's amazing.
There's a lot to be said about a hot dog. There's songs
yeah,
about
you
there's
could
songs
do
about hot dogs.
you
No,
missed yeah, you missed your calling as as a baseball broadcaster, I think. Filling in the innings, I mean, in an 11-2 game in the 5th, you know, that's when you're talking about hot dogs for sure.
let's be clear. If there are any baseball teams out there who would like to hire a baseball announcer, I am available. I'm available. I would be more than happy to be a radio guy, either a color analyst or a play-by-play guy on the radio. I would love to do that for some baseball team somewhere, anywhere out there.
All right. Well, there you go. If anybody's watching out there on the YouTube land, which our podcast is picking up a little steam, we've gotten some viewership, some subscribers, which we thank you guys for doing that. Click the like and subscribe button, by the way, for more content. So, Mike, how much did you talk about your Cubs, or did you talk about the hot dogs the whole time? Are you Are you avoiding the conversation around your Cubs altogether? Is that what you're doing?
I've been talking about hot dogs for 10 minutes and 15 seconds, pretty much.
Oh, that's amazing.
The opening banter. Well, I mean, if you want me to talk about the Cubs, I can start talking about the Cubs. Hey, here's a couple things. First of all, we're celebrating today. It was 2 years ago today that Javy Baez broke the Pirates with the play. 2 years. Can you believe that? 2 years ago, Javy Baez was run down between first base and home, and that player that shall never be named scored on the run when first baseman Will Craig tried to run Javy down and then tried to throw the player that will not be named out at home. And probably one of the biggest bloopers. And so the question is, where's Will Craig now?
I don't know. Where is Will Craig? Has anybody seen him?
Will Craig,
where's Waldo? Where's Will Craig?
Well, Will Craig is a free agent right now. He was shortly after, I think that, so what's today? Today is May 27th. So Will Craig on June 1st of that year, I think. No, June 4th of that same year, after the rundown, he was designated for assignment by Pittsburgh, and then he was outrighted to AAA Indianapolis Indians on June 9th. Now, here's the thing about that. Then after that, Will Craig went to where was it? A team in Japan, I believe. And so he is not playing baseball right now. But here's a little known fact. Will Craig was not he was not a first baseman by trade.
What was he?
Well, he played for Wake Forest, and he was third baseman, I believe. Let me just make sure of that. Yeah. So, well, and to me, that's interesting because you got this guy who maybe has never played first base playing in the majors. Yeah. Craig played as a third baseman and a pitcher at Wake Forest. And then the Pittsburgh Pirates put him at first. And then, it kind of ends his effectively the anniversary, Javy Baez ends his career, I guess, in a sense,
So you're telling me that the Pirates, in addition to being a terrible franchise, just seemingly put people at positions that they've never played before, and then so the Pirates put people into bad situations, is what you're saying.
Seth, thank you for that excellent transition. That transition right there is you have just spoken into the a huge frustration of Cubs fans all over the place. Because not only are the Pirates doing crap like that, but in April, in April, great tweet by Ryan Tomer, by the way. In April, I was saying, I think the Cubs are going to win 87 games. This team is great. And now in May, now batting, hitting third, the center fielder, Mike Tauchman. What? Oh my gosh. Christopher Morel's in right. What are we doing? Trey Mancini is batting for. What are we doing? I am aghast. I'm flabbergasted. I can't figure out what in the world we're doing. Hey, at least we designated Eric Hosmer for assignment. At least we cut ties with him finally. What are we doing? Mike Tauchman in center field? Christopher Morel in right? What? Tucker Barnhart batting 111, catching? What? Oh.
Wow, you look like a man beside yourself, and it's pretty hard to be in a room beside yourself.
We're shut out for the first time this season yesterday by the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds, who nearly no-hit us. We had two hits against Hunter Green and the Cincinnati Reds. We've got Tauchman in center. We got Morel in right. We've got Trey Mancini batting for Seiya Suzuki. What in the world are we doing? David, this is how you get fired. I love Grandpa Rossi. I love David Ross. I think there's a good manager there. But my goodness, oh my goodness. I don't know what's going on. Kyle Hendricks returned to the mound for the Cubs. That was good news. Didn't have a great outing, but hey, he's still kind of coming back from that and having to change some things up. I hope the professor will eventually return to form. But the rally cries are beginning. David Ross has got to go. Playing guys out of position, underutilizing the bullpen, or doesn't know how to utilize the bullpen. The lineup's all over the place. Like I mentioned, Mastroboni at third. What? What are we doing here? I don't know.
I
thought we had a plan, Seth, but we clearly don't have a plan. Remember when a couple weeks ago we talked about, the Cubs have a plan. Mm-hmm. Tauchman, Mastroboni, I don't think those guys were part of the plan. I could be wrong.
Do injuries have anything to do with some of the decisions that are made? I'm trying to find a solution here for you. And so that's the first question. The second question is, Mike Jones is in charge of the Cubs right now. Where are you putting players? Are you having a consistent lineup, or ideally, what's Mike Jones doing for the Cubs?
Well, I guess I'm not sure. Okay, I haven't checked the injury front. It's been a busy week. It's the last week.
No, it's fine. I'm right there with you. This week has been crazy because it was our last week of school too, and you want to kick back and celebrate a bit, and you watch baseball, but it's kind of, I've watched some games, I've missed some games, it's fine. So while you're talking, I'm gonna look up the Cubs injury report, unless that's what you're doing right now.
No, you go ahead and look that up, because I'm going to talk. Right. Here's my lineup. I got one of many guys on the mound. Justin Steele had a bad outing yesterday, but those things, you're going to have one of those. You're going to have a couple of those, during the course of a long season. He'll correct himself. I think I've said all year, our pitching staff, I still think they're top 10 in the majors, or, if not top 5. I've got Patrick Wisdom at third base. Christopher Morel could be playing third as well. Obviously, Dansby Swanson at short. Obviously, Nico Horner. And then first baseman, that's an interesting position, but Matt Mervis, I think you've brought him up, so you might as well season him. I mean, I'll never understand this idea of bringing a guy up for 4 or 5 games and then sending them back down. Especially a guy like Mervis, he's a little bit older player, right? So then you've got Jan Gomes catching. I'm bringing up Amaya to do some catching there too. I think he did some good things for us. I think the Tucker Barnhart experiment has got to be over, right? I mean, I don't know. I can't remember how many years we signed him to. If it was a multi-year deal, it might have been a 3-year deal, but you got to get something figured out with him. Happer in left, Suzuki in right. And then our center fielder. Now, Bellinger, I know he went on the IL for a period of time, and I don't think that might be the one injury that's speaking into things a little bit. But listen, Christopher Morel can play center field. Put Morel in center. And I dissed on Talkman a little bit, but he's kind of the next man out, right? I mean, so you put Morel at third for Wisdom if he's not doing well, or if just to change things up. But Morel and right, Talkman in center, there's a few too many moves. Construct a lineup. Utilize a depth chart. Let's figure this out. We've had Cubs fans deserve better. We've had enough of this bouncing guys around from position to position, seemingly going, well, our guys can play just about anywhere. We got to get some consistency in what we're doing. The one thing that we can be thankful for, for the first time this year, the Cubs are shut out. Okay, 9-0. I'm pretty sure it was the first time this year, unless they were shut out earlier in the week. That's a possibility. The way we're doing things. We're 3-7 in our last 10, and also for the first time this year, the Cardinals overtook us in the standings. Now, thankfully, it was short-lived, and the Cardinals keep losing too because our division sucks. Let's face it. The National League Central right now, you look at the standings. The Milwaukee Brewers are leading our division with 27 wins. 27. There is not another division. Well, it's not true now that I look at it. I thought the American League Central apparently sucks too. The Twins only have 26 wins in their division. But everybody else is up over 30. It just feels like our division should be better than what we are, and we're not. And I can't figure it out.
You were talking about the Cubs, and I just want to I think it goes back to what we were talking about before the season. I think I think there is a plan with the Cubs, but it probably feels like you have some guys right now that are just killing you. Like, I hate to say this, Mike, but Tucker Barnhart's kind of killing you. He's batting 179, right? Like you were saying. Slugging percentage.
I only gave him a 111 credit, so 179. Hey, all right.
Well, that's for the whole year, so I don't know. So 179, 196 slugging percentage, and an OPS of 484. That's horrible. I don't know why Jan Gomes isn't playing more at bats, because I looked up the injuries and I don't really see anything. At least on ESPN, the latest thing I see is Nick Birdie was selected. His contract was selected by the AAA Iowa Ball Club. But the last injury that I see that was reported by ESPN was on May 1st, and I'm seeing Braylon Marquez and Steven Gonsalves. Somebody can give me a pronunciation lesson on Gonsalves. I'd be eager to hear that. But so Tucker Barnhart's killing you. Miles Mastrobuoni is batting. He's played in 19 games, 40 at bats, hitting 175. Matt Mervis has not played well in 17 games. He's hitting 200. Christopher Morel, I don't understand why you're not playing him more, because he's only played in 15 games, and he's hitting well, and he's OPS over 1. Like,
I'm pretty sure that Morel's played in every game since he's been called up. I'm pretty sure.
okay, so that's good. And Miguel Amaya, it looks to me like in the short sample size that we're seeing here, I would tend to agree with you just looking at the numbers. But uh is Cody Bellinger's healthy back and playing or not?
Well, no, Bellinger was placed on the
Which is what
I
weird because I'm looking at ESPN right now and ESPN didn't report Cody Bellinger being hurt. So
well, he had a knee contusion on the 15th,
okay.
and so I don't know if he's fully back yet. I honestly, like I said, it's been a little crazy, so I haven't been as fully vested in listening to the games as I have, usually.
Mhm.
Bellinger did not play yesterday for sure. And
Because
so,
anyway, I guess ESPN is not. Yeah, it's this is strange because I'm not seeing anything on CBS either for. Here it is on Tuesday. Cody Bellinger's expected to be out until at least May 30th with a knee injury. So
yeah,
there you go.
knee contusion. I think he kind of
Okay.
hyperextended his knee on a
Okay.
great catch in center field.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's been okay. There's some pieces here for the Cubs. Ian Happ's playing well. Dansby Swanson is as advertised. He has a WAR over 2. Nico Horner's playing well. So we have some pieces here, but also the guy that's not really doing much either is Trey Mancini. His wins above replacement number is negative 0.6, which is not good.
Right.
So it just feels like if I were the Cubs, I would be playing Christopher Morel, Matt Mervis, and who's the other guy? I'm not Miguel Amaya. I would be playing those 3 guys about as much as humanly possible because you have to find out why not? I mean, you're not really getting much out of Trey Mancini, so why are you playing him so much? You're not really getting much out of Tucker Barnhart and Miles Mastroboni. We know what's there.
Right.
What are we doing?
Right.
Let's give some other guys a chance because we have to figure this out. We have to figure out what we have in some of these guys and we have to give them opportunities. So I just, and that in accordance with developing those prospects at the lower levels. I don't know what you're doing with Mike Talkman because Mike Talkman he's 32 years old.
Right.
What are we? I don't understand that really, unless they are still trying to develop. But I would be playing Morel over him in the outfield or at third base. I would be probably playing Morel at third base because he's an infielder, right?
He can be. Yeah. I mean, he can be. He's definitely played third and can do it.
Okay. Because I'm looking at the percentages, and we kind of looked at this depth chart percentage last time too. The way the Cubs are built is fundamentally sound, assuming they keep Bellinger. Now the person who's played center field the most, or the second most, has been Christopher Morel. So I don't know if that could be their plan is to put him in center field. I don't know. He's kind of been all over the place. He's been in the outfield. He's been at shortstop. He's been at third base. So I don't know exactly what the plan is there. It kind of gives me, not that he's the same caliber of player because Jordan Walker's the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, but it kind of feels like he's a man without a position. Would you agree? Or
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think they're trying to figure out where the best place to put him is. I wonder, honestly, I don't know. I wonder about Christopher Morel at first, but you see, that's the thing. It's like we're trying to figure out where to put these guys. A decision needs to be made. This is Major League Baseball. We don't know where we're going to play Christopher Morel. Christopher Morel's tearing the ball off. He's tearing the cover off the ball. He's hitting home runs left and right. First guy since Sammy Sosa to have as many home runs in as few games since, whatever year. And let's get it. We got to get something figured out in that regard. I just don't think we can keep now. At some level, there's also this stopgap feel to the Cubs. Like, hey, we're just biding our time until the prospects. And so, I even wonder if we're not going, we don't want to win too many games, because then the trade prospects for some of these guys like Bellinger and, because we want to build the next great Cubs team, is that part of the equation here? Or, the theme this year is next starts here for the Cubs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so we're talking about the next team. What about this team? What about this team? Who's
Yeah.
at least competitive in the Central? How about the Cardinals?
Once upon a time, Mike, once upon a time, there's this player in spring training, and he was hitting third in front of, I believe it was in front of Mark McGwire. And I looked at the lineup that day and I thought, who in the hell is Albert Pujols and what is he doing hitting above Mark McGwire? All right. So the truth is, nobody, not even the Cardinals knew, not even Albert Pujols knew how good Albert Pujols would be. And it might be a bad example because Albert Pujols turned out to be one of the greatest hitters ever, but you just don't know what you've got until you put it on the field, right? And so what astounds me about the Cubs is I just, and kind of the same thing with the Cardinals is just I don't understand this, like, and maybe it's because I don't understand the mechanics of hitting on a deeper level, but when I played baseball, like, you would go through slumps, you would go through, like, and that was just a part of it. And I remember, like, Todd Frazier, we've talked about it on the Foul Territory podcast, which you can find on YouTube, talked about how he like went 0 for, like, he didn't get a hit, and like he went 0 for like 21 or something during his second year. And sometimes there's something to be said for letting guys struggle and letting guys figure it out and working it out at the major league level. And if you can afford to send somebody down and then bring them back up, but I just wonder sometimes what these major league clubs are doing, what their plan is for these prospects, because a lot of times, and it feels like this is the case for Morel. It's like, well, we don't have a space. Like, he's struggling. We'll send him down, bring him back up. Oh, he's hitting, but we don't have a position for him. So, like you said, what's the plan here to develop this guy? Where do we see his position being with all these other veterans on the team? Who cares about Mike Tauchman? Mike Tauchman can go kick rocks because he's not a part of the future, right?
Right.
So what are we doing? Why are we playing Mike Tauchman? Why are we playing Tucker Barnhart? Like, the Cardinals are just in a different situation than the Cubs right now. And I get it. Like, but my point is, at the very beginning, when I brought up Albert Pujols, is this is exactly why you need to be playing Christopher Morel. Like, this is exactly why you need to be playing Amaya, your catcher. This is exactly why you need to be playing Matt Mervis, because when I saw Albert Pujols in the lineup that day, I was like, what are we doing? Who is this guy? And why is he hitting in front of McGwire? Or why is he hitting behind McGwire? I can't remember if he was hitting in front or behind of Mark McGwire that day, but soon Pujols proved us all wrong. And you just don't know until you put these guys in the lineup and figure out who they are and what their role is going to be going forward for your team. And a plan is, sometimes I wonder if there is one, like you said. And that's a perfect segue into talking about the Cardinals. Because I still don't know exactly what the plan is. Nothing's really changed. The Cardinals starting pitching is still terrible. I could go down. I mean, like, at some point, like, I could talk about it until I'm blue in the face, but at some point, there's nothing more to say. I mean, I know they've been doing better lately, and the Central sucks. I mean, we alluded to the standings, but the Brewers are also 27-24, leading the Central with a negative 21 run differential. So they've given up more runs than they've scored. And if you look around, I mean, does everybody just suck now, Mike? That's kind of my point. Like, you look at the NL, there's 9 teams out of 15, right? If I'm doing my math right, that have a negative run differential. And then Atlanta's killing it. The Dodgers are killing it. Heck, even our Cubs and Cardinals have a positive run differential. The Pirates have a positive run differential. But there's a lot of bad teams, it's seemingly, or average so-so teams. And the Oakland Athletics, right, who are Las Vegas bound here in the next several years, right? And the Kansas City Royals, like, these are teams that not only are they not good, but they don't rank highly in the prospects. At least Kansas City doesn't. So what is the plan? And going back to the Cardinals, like, are we really just gonna do the same old thing? I posted the video yesterday, same old, same old. So to recap this week in Cardinals baseball, all right, on Sunday, or on Saturday rather, May 20th, the Cardinals gave up 5 runs to the Dodgers, right? And that was Miles Michaelis pitched pretty good. That was one of Michaelis's better outings. I think Michaelis has solidified himself as our ace, which is okay, whatever. Sunday, May 21st, 5 runs. Monday, 6 runs given up. Tuesday, May 23rd, 5 runs given up. Wednesday, May 24th, 10 runs given up. 6 of those by Steven Matz, who went 4 innings again and only struck out 2 people, gave up 11 hits in 4 innings. The Steven Matz experience needs to be over with and done, because he's 0-6. I don't even want to know what his ERA is, but I'm bringing it up right now. His ERA is 5.272. I don't know what I mean. As the only thing that I can really think of is John Mozeliak's stubbornness, because he signed this guy, and it's just it's over. I'm sorry. Like, we know what we have in Steven Matz now. He started 10 games this year. That's a big enough sample size, and he's killing your ball club. I'm sorry. Like, if you're gonna send Jordan Walker, I know Jordan Walker's the top prospect, right? If you're gonna send Jordan Walker down because he's not performing well, then you need to be consistent and do the same thing with some of your higher priced free agents. Like, send him to the bullpen, give Liberatore a chance, which Liberatore started last night, did all right. That might not be the long-term solution either, but at least it's not killing you like Steven Matz is killing you. Let's go on. So 10 runs. So you've seen a theme here. Oh, look. Wait a minute. A quality start by Miles Michaelis. Michaelis probably had his best outing of the season on Thursday, May 25th. Give up no runs in a 2-1 ball game. The Cardinals played in a 2-1 ball game. None of this 10-5, 8-5, 6. On Thursday, we finally saw a quality start. Holy cow!
Wow, is that the first
That's
one of the year? Is that
It feels like it. It feels like it. 2 days ago on Thursday, and then yesterday was Matthew Liberatore Day. So, and he looking at the stats here, he as I'm looking at him, maybe 5 typical Cardinals start. So we might as well have the young guy doing it. 5 innings, 4 runs given up. Sounds about right. Sounds like a Cardinals starter. Sounds like he fits right in. So I don't know what to say, man. Like, I know I'm not expecting Mozeliak to go out and trade for a starting pitcher tomorrow. Clearly people on this show are probably sick and tired of me saying the Cardinals need starting pitching. That's obvious. Everyone knows it. But you just wonder, when is Mozeliak going to wake up? And I mean, who knows? Maybe he's on the phone relentlessly, but some part of me thinks that he's like, yeah, we'll just keep on trotting Steven Matz out there. That's the move that needs to happen. Steven Matz, they need to move him back to the bullpen or something, because like you just can't have like in what's going to be a close, like least interesting division, maybe aside from the AL Central and all of baseball and the NL Central. Like, you can't have guys that are just when you send them out there, it's like, oh God, like, well, you can't do that. You won't do that on a high school baseball team. You won't do that in Little League. Well, why do the Cardinals keep doing it? Like, it doesn't, I don't understand, Mike. So they need to do something. And then again, we have this weird Tyler O'Neill injury. His lower back's been killing him for like 3 weeks now. And he's scheduled to come back. Like, what are they going to do with Tyler O'Neill? Because his values hit the tank. What are they going to do with Dylan Carlson? Because I'm assuming if he comes back, he's going to be at the major league level. They need starting pitching. It makes too much sense that one of those two guys, maybe both of them, could be involved in a trade. The Cardinals have, just all these prospects. I was listening to the Cardinals. I think it's STL Cardinals Nation. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but he does a great job of covering the Cardinals prospects. And one of the prospects he talked about was Michael McGreevy and how he's doing really well. And Gordon Graceffo's hurt, but we have Tink Hence. We have the number one, prospect in all of baseball, and Jordan Walker, who are probably not going to trade. But the point is this, like I keep saying, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, we have all of these prospects on a win now team that aren't helping you win now. So in my opinion, and I know it's been my opinion for 3 years, we need to go out and see what the White Sox want for Dylan Cease. We need to go out and see, Shane Bieber pitched last night. He pitched okay. Only struck out 2 batters. So I don't know. I don't know if Shane Bieber's the answer. I don't know if he's elite, but at least he's not Steven freaking Matz.
Right.
So, yeah. And so that, I think, and I don't know. I don't really have much faith in Mozeliak to make a move. So I don't exactly know what I want him to do, because the 2 moves that he's made that have just been excellent moves has been the Nolan Arenado trade and the Paul Goldschmidt trade. And he's hanging his reputation on those 2 moves for sure, because everything else has been kind of a disaster. So I don't know, Mike. I think the Cardinals are going to win the division by default, just like they do every year. And then they're going to say, oh, look at what we did. Boy, oh boy, what a great job we've done. We've won 86 games and we've won the Central. And that now you're matched up against the Dodgers, or now you're matched up against the Braves. And good luck with that, because you're not even in the same league as those teams, man. I know we just beat the Dodgers, but in the playoffs is a completely different animal.
Right. Hasn't this been St. Louis's story the last couple of years? Like, you got, we've won the division. We won the division. Yeah, and got swept out of the playoffs. 03, 03, 01, 01. It's just the same thing year after year, right?
Yeah. I think the last time the Cardinals advanced, I remember I can't remember what year it was, but they made it to the NLCS. I think it was maybe 2019, because that was the year the Nationals won the World Series. I think it was. And then they got swept in the NLCS. And yeah, since then, it's been like one and done in the playoffs the last 3-4 years. Either you're not making the playoffs or you're getting bounced first round of the playoffs. And that's because, Wainwright's gotten up there. They don't have a legitimate starter that can, they signed Steven Matz. That's not working out. Dakota Hudson didn't work out. There's just a lot of starters that they've had that just haven't worked out. And you just need to admit that there's a problem. And if Mozeliak came out tomorrow and said, hey, like, yeah, we're, our starting, we understand our starting pitching hasn't been very good, and we're working on trying to alleviate that problem, then I would say, hooray for you. You've admitted there's a problem. Like, but right now, I really believe they're like, oh yeah, like we'll figure it out. Like, we have some really good pitchers on this staff, guys. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you have some, but not enough, not the right ones. So, the first step needs to be we need to punt Steven Matz to the bullpen is what we need to do. So, there you go. That's my Cardinals report. For the Cardinals week in review, we need to punt Steven Matz to the bullpen, because if we can send our number one prospect down because he's struggling, and we can do the same thing with Steven Matz, except we can send him to the bullpen.
Now, when you talk about your number one prospect struggling, it's interesting to me because I recently saw a headline about how Jordan Walker's tearing it up at AAA again. And when I look at his game logs at AAA, like he had 5 plate appearances, 4 at-bats, no hits, struck out once. That was on the 26th. On the 25th, he had 2 hits and 4 at-bats. On the 24th, but here's the interesting part to me. He did have a string of games there where he had multiple hits, kind of in the 19th, 20th, 21st of May, and there, I guess, when they were playing Atlanta in the AAA club. But the interesting thing to me about Hicks is that you've got a guy who's 21 years old, and according to Fangraphs, he's blocked by who? Nolan Arenado is what it says. So they're trying to shift him to become a outfielder. Okay, so at what point do you go AARP? It's time to get something for somebody else. Because, Morel at least is now again playing in the majors. Walker is arbitration eligible in what, 2026.
Yeah, not for a long time.
Yeah, so you've got him for a while, and you have 3 minor league options on him yet. But I just think it's interesting because, to me, Jordan Walker and Christopher Morel are very similar players. Like, I know Walker's the number one prospect. We never really heard about Christopher Morel as a prospect. You know what I mean? It's like he seems to bounce back and forth between AAA and the club. And where's he at on a prospect list? We don't, he's usually not included in those conversations, along with Pete Crow Armstrong and Brennan Davis and Miguel Amaya and, guys like this that are our prospects. Even Matt Mervis, right, as a prospect. Christopher Morel, I don't hear that term used with him often, and he's 23 years old. So, I guess in a sense, as long as we've got him up there playing, if we have a long-term plan to keep him as part of our club, then I'd rather have him playing against major league pitching and showing us what he can do there, like they had Jordan Walker doing earlier in the season. The Cardinals did. But, when do you call him back up with because you've got a log jam in the outfield. The Cardinals do.
It's a mess, man, because, just listing off all the outfielders that, we talked about it on the last show. You look at the percent. You're complaining about the Cubs, or rather their percentage. You look at the percentages of players playing positions. It's a heck of a lot more stable than the Cardinals. I think we broke down, and I can bring it up right now, that the Cardinals, their top player in right field, or the player that's played the most in right field, is Jordan Walker, and it's still Jordan Walker. 29% he's played in right field, and he's at AAA right now. Tyler O'Neill's 35% has played, so that means 35% of the games he's played in left field, and he's on the injured list. Dylan Carlson has played 35% of the games in center field. He's on the injured list right now. So you just look at the percentages, and it's like Tyler O'Neill, Lars Nootbaar, Jordan Walker, Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, Juan Yepez, Oscar Mercado. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then throw Tommy Edman in there because you got to play Nolan Gorman because like I'm going to talk about Nolan Gorman here in a little bit. There was actually an article written about Nolan Gorman on MLB that claims he's one of the top 3 hitters in all of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And which Nolan Gorman, I don't care against left-handers, right-handers, ambidextrous hitter or pitchers, like pitchers that throw in between their legs. I don't care. That guy needs to be in the lineup every day because he's been amazing. I think he got his 40th RBI here, like in the last game, 40 RBIs already, making a real case. Honestly, as an all-star, I don't know if you could throw him in the MVP conversation, but he's been that good. So now now Paul DeYoung's playing great. So that makes it even more complicated, right? And then so you need to find a spot now for Tommy Edman, or is Tommy Edman a utility guy? See, this is why they need to make a trade. And then so let's just go with the fact that you've got to play Paul DeYoung because you can't take him out of the lineup. You have to play Nolan Gorman at second base because you can't take him out of the lineup. Sometimes you got to use the DH for Contreras because apparently you don't trust him to catch, or sometimes, but you gave him a big deal for him to, catch. You have obviously Goldschmidt, Arenado. So that means that Kisner's going to be catching sometimes, and you have 3 outfield spots. And one of them is going to be for Nootbaar. So you have to figure out what you're going to do with the other 2, right? So Donovan is probably going to play more times than not, and Tommy Edman's probably going to play more times than not. But then enter Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill and Juan Yepez, and, and Alec Burleson. I might have messed up and said Burleson instead of Donovan, but that's how confusing it is. Like, there's just so much here.
Yeah.
And so, and that's not even, I'm not even mentioning Jordan Walker. He's not even in the picture. So it's like, it's just, there's a log jam at second now. There's a log jam in the outfield. There's a log jam at DH, especially if you want to give Arenado or Goldschmidt a day off in the DH spot. Can't really do that as much anymore if you're going to use Contreras, how they're using Contreras, and if they're going to be, using Gorman the way they're using Gorman. Like, there's just like so many roster decisions that need to be made. A trade you would think needs to be made sooner rather than later, but the Cardinals just seem to be content holding on to all of these prospects and whatever. I think a name that's really interesting. I put a link in the chat in our show sheet that was published 5 hours ago by Yard Barker, and it's 25 players that could be traded during the 2023 season. And a name that stuck out to me like a sore thumb is Corbin Burnes. Corbin Burnes, one of the better pitchers in baseball. It says here, and shout out to Yard Barker. And what astounds me is the Brewers are leading the division, right?
Right.
So is a team that's going to be leading the division really considering trading Corbin Burnes? And so it says here, Corbin Burnes' inclusion here might come as a surprise to many, especially since he's not due to become a free agent until after 2024. But the equation conceivably could have changed drastically just a couple weeks ago. Burnes and the Brewers failed to come to an agreement in arbitration, and the dispute went to a hearing. Listening to Burnes talk afterwards, he was understandably disappointed to hear Milwaukee blaming their lack of a playoff berth in 2022 on him, and acknowledged that his relationship with the club was severely damaged. How that plays out moving forward will be fascinating. On paper, the Brewers look like they should again be right in the thick of things in the NL Central. But what if that doesn't materialize? If they are not in the race of July and a team comes calling to try to acquire Burnes for a year and a half, Milwaukee would have to listen. But would they actually trade their ace? And there's no way he's going to be traded to the Cardinals. I would be shocked if they traded him in the division. But Corbin Burnes is a guy that would be the best pitcher the Cardinals have. And I would give up a lot for Corbin Burnes. I would, because that is That's the piece, that would just be perfect. But that's probably not going to happen because, again, he pitches for Milwaukee.
Well, okay, and I know no one cares about my fantasy team, but Corbin Burns is one of the first guys, that I
Check
drafted.
it off. Check it off your bingo card. The Marcell Ozuna trade and Mike's fantasy team was going to be mentioned on every show.
I was wondering when Marcell Ozuna was going to come out.
There you go.
There you go. There he was. All right. But he's 4-3, and lost to the Cardinals, by the way, right? In his start on the 17th of May. But here's the thing about Corbin Burns, right? In his starts in that 4-3 season that he's had so far, innings pitched 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 5. The guy is borderline on quality starts, right? But his current 8 strikeouts per 9 innings is the lowest of his 6-year major league career. And does that go back to the angst about, Corbin Burns in the playoffs and the talk about that? And does a guy come out and underperform because, I hate it here kind of thing? And what's really interesting to me, and I haven't dug into these articles nearly enough. I don't know if there's a leak in the roof at Miller Park or what the deal is, but there is talk that the Milwaukee Brewers could be the next franchise who move from their community. There are articles out there about this, and it's like, what? I mean, like the Brewers, they're leading their division. So be interesting to see where that goes. But Burns has had 4 quality starts in a row. At least he had 4 quality starts until this last outing on the 22nd against Houston. But that would be interesting. And hey, Wilson Contreras to the Cardinals within the division. Anything's possible. When that can happen, I think anything's possible.
Well, that was in free agency, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
So, but then the other guy on this list is that a guy that I've always thought if he could just get out of Colorado, and it probably makes a lot more sense. And if you look at his numbers, it's not as impressive, but you need to remember too that he's been in Colorado his whole career, is German Marquez. And German Marquez is not, you look at the last couple seasons, ERA near 5, but this wouldn't be a top of the line starting pitcher, but it might be somebody you can trade Tyler O'Neill for straight up if you just want to get rid of, if you need to, send Tyler O'Neill somewhere. And then you could move Steven Matz to the bullpen, bring this guy in. I don't know, something needs to happen. And I think Marquez could be a nice reclamation project potentially. I've always thought he had really, really good stuff. And in 2020, he had a 3.75 ERA. He's always been just kind of looking at the numbers here he's always, not really, strikeouts per 9, 8, 9, 10. And I've always thought he has really good stuff, but I've always thought pitchers in Colorado would be good ones to acquire because they pitch in Colorado and some of the numbers can be skewed. And that kind of seems like, Mozeliak's made the Nolan Arenado trade. Maybe they don't want to talk to him anymore. I don't know, but so that's another player on this list. But you look on this list, and Yardbarker is a pretty good publication. There's not a whole lot of starting pitchers on this list.
Oh, now hold on.
What?
Because I'm looking at this list, and I think here's guys that the Cardinals are going to target. Sonny Gray out of Minnesota. I think he'll be a target for the Cardinals. I think that Brad Keller out of Kansas City will be a target for the Cardinals. And I was thinking David Bednar, but I think those 2 guys are 2 guys that you'll see the Cardinals target.
Okay. Well, I just know they have to do something, but that free agent class next year of starting pitchers is looking pretty good too. So, and I think that includes Marcus Stroman, does it?
You know what I should say? I should say that I think the Cardinals will target those guys if they have a chance in the division. this year. You know what I mean? Because who's to say that's even going to be like they're even going to be the way that the division's going and the Cardinals are playing, and maybe they won't be contenders to win the division this year, right? I mean, we're 2 months into the season here, and we're just kind of lingering. I mean, the Cardinals are. So are the Cubs. So is the division. Everybody's just kind of lingering, you know. Let's see what we got. Let's play around a little bit.
Yeah. Here, let's talk about this real quick. Shohei Ohtani is also on this list. Do you think there's any way he gets traded?
I think he's going to look great in the Cubs uniform next year. I think that's going to be an incredible thing. I think that's what we've been doing is saving our money for the last 5 years to buy Shohei.
All right. I know the Cardinals probably ain't going to do it. So, yeah. So I was talking about 2024, and we're already talking about 2024. Marcus Stroman does have a player option for 2024. Max Scherzer player option, and Shohei Ohtani is an unrestricted free agent in 2024. Clayton Kershaw, unrestricted free agent. So there's some big names here that, could also potentially be trade. I mean, because why wouldn't you want to trade? I don't know. Like if I were the Angels and if somebody offered me a haul for him, I don't know how I could say no because that team is going nowhere fast. And if you're just going to lose him anyway, your options really are just to give him a blank check or to trade him for the moon and the stars. So we'll see what direction they go in. I'm typically of the mind that if you trade a star, you typically lose that trade, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Mike, is it that time of the show?
Yes, I believe it is that time of the show.
Okay. It's the Dixon Baseball Dictionary segment of the show where Mike pulls out his dictionary and Seth does too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Is whatever. I don't even know who it is that says that. He's an actor. He's on car commercial.
Matthew McConaughey.
There you go. That's the guy. I don't know. He seems too laid back for me, but let's go to page, because we opened the show with a 12-minute soliloquy regarding hot dogs. Let's go to page 387. Where the green monster, the green pea, green pea is a rookie, one with little experience, a real novice. Casey Stengel's favorite term for a young and inexperienced player. How about that?
Yeah.
One regarded as an element of Stingalese. The term showed up in 1912. I wasn't even going to go with that one. You're the green pea of the American League. I love it. That's a good one.
All right.
Green's word. I don't know. Ground on which grass is grown. Interesting. But the one that sticks out to me the most is the green weenie. The green weenie. A plastic gag store hot dog painted green, which was first brought into play by the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1960. Trainer Danny Whelan noted that when it was pointed at an opposing pitcher, when he was given the green weenie, the Pirates started hitting. But when it was pointed at a Pirates pitcher, strikeouts materialized. They went into mass production and were sold as souvenirs in 1966. Isn't this awesome? When the green weenie was waved or shaken en masse by Pirates fans, who knew that they had a tradition in Pittsburgh? A curse supposedly fell upon visiting teams. One was wielded by sportscaster Bob Prince in the booth to put hexes and jinxes on opponents of the Pirates on the way to the 1971 National League pennant. There you go. Green weenie. And then an alternate definition. A pitch that a batter does not like.
Oh.
Jim Brosnan, the long season 1960, referred to, quote, slipping the green weenie past, end quote, Ernie Banks.
It's amazing how those two terms couldn't be any more different than each other, but it's the same thing. It's the same word, same phrase, same expression,
The green
but
meaning.
it's just completely different usage. And that's amazing. There's also a picture, and you can find, I mean, it's an unofficial sponsor of the show, but Paul Dixon's Baseball Dictionary. On page 386, I can't help but see green light, and I see a picture of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who loved baseball, and he's underneath the word green light, which is a coach's sign flashed to a batter, allowing him to swing. It is most commonly given on a 3-0 count. So you'll hear that all the time, like, Mike and I might say it, or you'll hear it on a broadcast. It's like, I wonder if he's got the green light here on a 3-0 count. Typically, with runners on, a lot of times it's used to see if he gets a fastball right where he wants it, he has permission to just swing out of his shoes to try to, put some runs on the board.
Yeah, notice there's a lot of green. There's a lot of green in baseball. Have you noticed that? I mean, there's almost 4 or 5 pages dedicated to green things. Well, okay, 3 pages. But the interesting part about this Franklin D. Roosevelt photo that you're talking about under green light, I don't know what there's a guy I know that's an editor for an organization called Player Profile that could probably do wonders to the Dixon's Baseball Dictionary. Because when you look at this picture and the caption green light, it has nothing to do with what it says about President Franklin D. Roosevelt here. It's just like somebody accidentally copied and pasted green light underneath this picture. Because there's nothing. What does Franklin D. Roosevelt have to do with the green light? I fail to see the connection. But nonetheless, I love the Paul Dixon Baseball Dictionary. And you can win a copy of the Paul Dixon's Baseball Dictionary by tuning in, downloading the MLB Play app, and joining our 137 plus members of our Beat the Streak group on the app. Play Beat the Streak. You could win one of these from us. You could win just for having the longest streak of the season, and you could win $5.7 million from Major League Baseball.
Yeah, join the group. The link's in the description. Mike, what would you like to tell the people? How can they find you? What do you think the Cubs' outlook is for the rest of the summer? Anything you'd like to talk about?
Well, I've got anybody who's listening or anybody who tunes in here and wants to reach out to me at Twitter at Michael Jones IA on Twitter, or at Long Live Baseball with 1 L. You can. I got 2 tickets to tonight's Cubs Reds game, 6:15 start at Wrigley Field. Anybody who reaches out, they're yours. Sunday, my family and I are going to go up to Wrigley to watch the game, and then Memorial Day, I'm not sure what's going to happen with those tickets, but it's too expensive to stay in Chicago, so we're not going to the whole weekend. But we are going to get a game in. I don't know what to say about the Cubs right now, Seth. It's kind of all that we've been talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, and the same goes with the Cardinals. There's just a lot. I mean, it's kind of the same old. Like I think that's the best way to say it. With as far as the Cardinals go, I don't know if that applies perfectly to the Cubs or not, but yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see, like, when Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson comes back, what happens. What are they going to do with Steven Matz? I think that's the biggest problem right now. My guess is the Cardinals will probably hope it sorts itself out. There's nothing to see here, no problems at all. But our biggest, free agent pitcher that we've signed since Mike Leake is Mike Leake. Oh my God. The same if we're mentioning him in the same breath as Mike Leake, and we're talking about free agent pitching signings, it probably means you haven't hit on your free agent pitching signings and you haven't done enough to address starting pitching over the years, but I digress. You can find me at Seth _DIEWOLD. I am also the editor at playerprofiler.com. So you can, if you like fantasy football, check that out. Talented writers are doing good work all of the time in the news and article section. Free fantasy football advice. So go check that out. And yeah, like and subscribe the video. Subscribe to the channel. We are growing and growing and growing, and we cannot thank our valued listeners, our fans enough for tuning into the show. You're the reason we do it. We're trying to build this baseball community of people who just like to get together, maybe grab a beer and just watch baseball and enjoy this perfect game that Rob Manfred is constantly trying to ruin. So
yeah, I can't wait to get to the Green Cathedral tomorrow.
And if you want to know what a Green Cathedral is, you'll have to buy the Paul Dixon's Dictionary or tune into the show. But that is the show. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, go Redbirds, baby.
Oh, let's go, Cubbies.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Long live baseball.
Thank you.
Hey, long live baseball,
Long
baby.
live baseball. Let's go.
Oh,
Long live baseball.
thank you.
You got it.
Right now.
Long live baseball.